So, hello and good evening to everyone, and welcome to Little Garden on the Prairies. This is my second live on the channel. Oh, just a minute here. I got prairies. This is my second live on the channel. Sorry, I got my other phone going here so I can kind of act as my own moderator tonight, and hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties. So again, I just want to invite or welcome you to the channel tonight. And I wanted to share some of information on winter sowing because it's something that a lot of people don't know about, and it's a great alternative seed starting method to, the traditional of method of starting seeds indoors, which a lot of people don't have space for, or they're just really not interested in, buying the seed starting trays and the lights and dealing with, the dirt and the pests that can come into your house if you are trying to start some seeds indoors. So winter sowing method is been around for a long time, and I've been doing it for about 4 years now. I've had success with some things and not very good success with other things. So I thought I would just show you the basics of how to set up milk jug. You've seen it, it's usually in a milk jug like this that you can do your winter sowing in. I'll just show you how I get these set up and planted, and we can go through some of the different seeds that are more suitable for winter sowing, because not everything is good to do this method with. But it is something for in cold climates like I live here. I'm in growing zones 3. This is something that you don't need to start this soon. I would say if you're in growing zones 3 and 4, where we still have a chance of very extreme cold weather, which I guess is coming again this weekend, you don't have to start it yet. You can, middle of February all the way till the end of March, as long as it's still freezing at night. This method works good. So, benefits of winter sowing. Obviously, it is a good alternative to starting seeds indoors if you're not interested in doing that or you don't have enough space. I start a lot of things indoors, so anything that I can do in this method instead, helps save me some space. And if you don't want to do the grow lights and the trays and all that kind of stuff, this is a great alternative. It's kind of like a natural stratification for seeds. So a lot of seeds that are more suited to cold climates, if they were to be in the ground, the stratification process is that freezing and thawing method, and that kind of wears away the layer of the seed, kind of breaks it down and gets it to germinate and grow and sprout. So it kind of mimics a natural way of the way seeds would be in the ground, and in the winter time and in the spring. Plus, you end up with a really strong seedling because, of course, they are out in the elements. This does act as a little mini greenhouse, so it keeps it, warm and protected. But, this is a great way to really have tough seedlings once they start sprouting. I'll get into a little bit more once I show you one that's been put together. You can open it up and harden them off naturally outdoors. So you end up with a really good, strong seedling. Plus, you don't have that pest problem that you could have with, starting seeds indoors when you got all those trays of seedlings. You sometimes end up with those fungus gnats and little bugs, and that can be really annoying if it gets out of hand. Hello, Meredith. Welcome to the channel. If there's anybody else out there watching, I see I have a few watchers. I would love to say hello in the chat. Let me know where you're from. So where are you from, Meredith? Also, another bonus of winter sowing, it's pretty cheap. It's a pretty cheap method because you don't have to buy all those trays and lights and everything again. If you have these kind of milk jugs, somebody in your um, family uses them. We actually don't buy milk in this big a container, but these are, the best suited for it. But there is other types of containers that will work. I'll just show you a couple things that I have used in the past are, just juice jugs like this, big water bottles that you get bottled water in. As long as you have, a clear container that can take in the light, just a small opening on the top that, so a little bit of that moisture and everything can get inside. And um, it has to be, something where you can put about 3-4 inches of soil in so you have a good base for your seeds to grow and to develop in. So juice jugs work, water jugs work. So basically the supplies that you need. Hello, Exploring Canada. Yes, we have very severe cold here in Saskatchewan where I live, but that's why you see me downstairs here in my indoor growing space. I have hydroponics going. This is what I do in the wintertime to keep my thumbs green and to keep things going. I got a couple of these DWC systems. These are Aero Garden type systems where I got some tomatoes and trying to do cucumbers, but just not having much luck. So hello. Again, just tell me where you're from. Let me know, have you ever done winter sowing? If you have, just say yes in the comments or no, not yet. So let me know. Hopefully, I can convince you that, this is a great method to try. Hello, Exploring Canada. Okay, so what do you need to get going in winter sowing? So we've gone through the different containers. So my father, believe it, he lives alone and he drinks these 4-liter jugs of milk every week. So he has been my collector of milk jugs over the winter. He always saves them for me and brings me a bag full. So that's great. But I know in some parts of Canada, people say that they do not have these types of jugs. I think maybe in Ontario, they don't even have these. But yeah, these are great. But again, just have a look around. There's other things that will work as well. Hello to Carla, welcome. You did some spring sowing last spring, great. And hello, Sarah. I hope that you will try some winter sowing. It's lots of fun. It's kind of something to do right now when, you know, nothing else to do. I haven't started any seedlings yet. I should be starting maybe some petunias. I usually get them about 10 weeks before last over frost. I start petunias and pansies because they're a little bit slow to grow, and onion seeds. I like to grow my onions from seed, and they are very slow to grow as well. So those are the kinds of things that I will be starting indoors soon. So what you need then basically is your jugs. I use Sharpie markers like this, and I forgot to get markers. Some kind of a marker for inside so you don't forget what's in there, because sometimes the black ink or whatever marker you're using might wear off um, outside in the elements. Duct tape, just good old gray duct tape. I've tried different kind of variations. I bought cheap duct tape at the dollar store. I think it's in the picture that I posted in my thumbnail. It was a very colorful type of duct tape that I bought at Dollarama or something, and it really was hard to get off, and it just wasn't good. So I don't know, good old gray duct tape seems to work the best. And it's very important that you use a good organic, or not, doesn't have to be organic, but a good potting soil blend that is for vegetables and herbs, growing vegetables and herbs. So I have here, this is ProMix. Okay, so it's a premium organic vegetable and herb mix. So you don't want to use seed starting mix like you would indoors because it doesn't have any fertilizer or any food really for your seedlings. And because they're going to be in here for a period of time after they sprout and grow and develop, and they're going to be in here till end of May into June before you plant them out. So they need a bit of a food source. So always start off with a good potting soil mix, and don't, they're warning here, don't try to reuse any of your potting soil from your outdoor pots. I did that one year. I thought this would be a good way to use up potting soil from my containers and do the winter sowing method with them. But of course, what you end up with is a whole pile of weeds. So I had, a lot of things growing in there that I thought were, sprouting vegetables and herbs and stuff, and kept watching and looking, and then realized that I basically had just grown a bunch of weeds in a lot of these jugs. So start off with a good potting soil mix, such as something like this. You can get it at your greenhouses and garden centers right now. I'm starting to see a lot of this out on the shelf. So, getting these ready so that they are easy to plant in. I've got a few done here. So this is what your container is going to look like when you are ready to set it up for planting. So what I've done here is I've poked a bunch of holes, and I've just used a pair of sharp scissors. These milk jug containers that are, they're quite thin, they're quite easy to work with a pair of scissors. Something a little heavier, like a water bottle, um, something a little heavier plastic, you might have to use like what am I trying to say? A knife like this. Something like this will work as well, but you have to be very careful. Make sure you're wearing gloves, or you're being very careful to cut the plastic. I've used a drill, cordless drill, and just drilled holes in the bottom really quickly with one of those. That works good. Like I said, scissors work well on a jug like this. So you want to make sure you have removed the lid. You don't need the lid, you can toss it. And I just make sure that there's a lot of drainage holes in the bottom of the container. So a scissor like this will cut through fairly easy. I say that now. The one that I did use here before works good. And then you just need to make a bunch of holes in the bottom of the jug so that you got some drainage. So the snow and the rain will be going through these jugs when you have them sitting outside. This one's not working well. See, the last one I did worked really well. I think I have scissors. Let me just see here. Something like this works better. So just make sure you got like 10 or 12 good size holes in the bottom of your jug. So you have that natural drainage going. Then once you think you got enough in there, just make sure they're open enough so the rain and snow and melting will drain through. And then you just want to create a bit of a hinge. So I usually just kind of pop a hole right here at the handle with my scissors, like that. And then just start cutting all the way around. Again, like I say, this plastic is fairly easy to cut through. So cut all the way around till you get to that handle again. That. And now you have got that hinge kind of set up so you can open it up and start putting in your soil and get planting your seeds. So I normally do this out in my garage where it's less messy. I do have a little potting mat here on my table, so it should work out okay. I wasn't sure when I did this, trying to show you how messy I'm going to get, but I'm just going to show you how much soil you should put in. So you want these seeds to be able to, sprout and grow and develop. So they need, 3 or 4 inches of potting soil to grow in. So I've dumped in a few inches of the soil here. Just kind of break it up if it needs a little breaking up. And then you're ready to start putting in some seeds. So something I said that I forgot to bring with me here is some kind of a marker. I like to put like a stick, like a popsicle stick, or if you have an abundance of plastic spoons, like I always do, or forks, those kind of things, plastic forks or spoons, stick it inside and write what you have planted inside so that, you don't lose track of what's in there. So I think what I'm going to start off with is some onions. That is one of the things that I like to grow using the winter sowing method is to start onions. I find they do well for me. Um, that has been my favorite. Oh, I see somebody just asked me that in there, Carla. Yeah, I think onions has worked good for me. Um, a few different herbs that I like to grow are like basil hasn't worked well for me, but they should. I think a lot of people do well with them. I think sometimes my cold weather here, some of these things, maybe I plant them a little bit too soon and maybe they just get, frozen or they just, it's just too extreme, some of those nighttime temperatures. But herbs do really well. I've done mint, I've done oregano, thyme, and chamomile is one of my favorite ones to start in this method. I like to get a good batch of chamomile going every year. Calendula, so kind of in that herby area is, I think, is a good way to go. I see a lot of people do brassicas like broccoli and cauliflower, and I did them one spring, and I had a really bad infestation of, I guess, flea beetles or something kind of swarmed them and took them out before I got them planted out. So, things like that have to deal with outdoors and, maybe some netting or some of that cloth that you put over your brassicas to keep those flea beetles and cabbage moths and stuff like that that sometimes come later in the season. But yeah, I had kind of a bad infestation of that in the spring. But I like to do dill. Dill's another good one that I was going to try to plant up. Parsley. I like to have all those kind of herbs growing throughout my garden, and it's just one less batch of things that I don't need to start indoors. I try to, grow as many things myself from seed and avoid having to buy from the greenhouse if I can. But so today, I'll just show you how I'm going to do some green bunching onions. So basically those are just what they look like, kind of a green onion. Those do well in this kind of method here. So, you kind of just go by things when you're looking at seeds, the kind that you would plant outdoors in the, early spring, those cool type crops like lettuces. That's another plant that a lot of people do in winter sowing. So all those different leafy greens, lettuces, spinach, kale. I think I found some kale seed that I was going to try. I got some red Russian kale. Works good in this method as well. So you probably, overseed a little bit more than you normally would just to kind of help uh, with germination success. So these are the green bunching onions. So I'm basically just going to sprinkle them around here. Thought I could hopefully make this so you guys can see what I'm doing. But yeah, I just sprinkle it around on the soil, get a good thick sprinkling all throughout. These are black seeds, so once you hit the dirt, you don't know where they are, but I'm assuming I've got a pretty good planting going here. And then you can just put a light layer of some more of the potting soil on top just to cover those seeds up a little bit. Don't have to put too much, but just sprinkling that on top. Give it a good patting. Now, normally I have my jug sitting on a tray or something to catch water, which is another thing I didn't remember to bring here tonight to show you, because I like to give it a good soaking, make sure that soil is nice and moist. When you put it outside in the cold weather, it's going to freeze, and it's just going to stay like that, obviously, until spring. And when it starts to thaw in the spring, and the seeds just kind of go through their natural process of knowing when the right time is to sprout. So you basically is a set it and forget it method. So once we put it outside, you just leave it out there, and I will show you how to tape it up with some duct tape. That's always a big challenge, but you just got to make sure that you get a nice long strip of duct tape here first to start with. Sorry, I didn't have anything ready here, but so you want to make sure you can get a piece that's going to go all the way around. Cut it off. See me here. So I just start right at one edge here. Just try to put it down. It kind of takes a little bit of practice. It gets a little bit finicky. You don't have to, have your, oh, sure, then I get stuck on something. Sometimes it takes a couple times. Just kind of hold it, wrap your duct tape all the way around that. Okay. And then you can just kind of go around and make sure it is nicely adhered. There's no gaps anywhere. You can see, so it's kind of, I didn't have to, hold it down too tight. I just kind of don't fight it too much and just kind of wrap it around like that. And you are good to go. So the next thing is to identify what you got on here. So I have put green onions. You could put the date also if you want. It doesn't really matter, but I usually do. So today is January 29. And like I said, I usually put some kind of marker inside as well, but this should be okay. I find with using these Sharpies that they hold up pretty good, and they don't fade too much. So there, you've just planted up one thing here, and it's ready to go. So what I usually do is, for now, because it doesn't really need to, be in the sun or be anywhere where it's getting moisture. It's not really important right now because it's just going to freeze, and it's just going to sit there and wait for spring to come and for its natural germination to start happening. So what I do is I just take it outside, and I've been using a wagon, like a wagon, my garden wagon, just to set them in so that they don't blow away, because you want to make sure you got them somewhere where they're not going to get blown away, because that happens here. And another thing that if you have dogs that are, getting into everything, make sure that you've got them in a safe space where your pets can't get at them. We had a puppy a few years ago that discovered my pile of winter sowing jugs, and I came outside, and there was a dog, flipping one of these jugs around. He destroyed, 5 or 6 of them before I stopped him. So just make sure you got them in a space like they're out of the wind and, safe from your pets. And I usually wait till, end of March when it is starting to thaw where I am. If you're in a little bit of a warmer growing zone, further south, just, kind of based on when your last frost date is and the temperatures, nighttime temperatures, you want to put it out somewhere where it is going to get sunshine and where it's going to get moisture. So, hiding it under the eaves around, and around your garage or around a garden shed is not a good idea because, it's not going to get that natural moisture that it needs. So you kind of have to look around your yard and, figure out a good spot where it's going to be getting moisture, getting sunshine, and not going to blow away. So, like I said, a garden wagon works really good. I have two of them and I fill them up with my jugs, and they stay safe from the wind and I can move them around easily. So that's what's been working for me. So yeah, so you can do, there's, if you Google, there's a lot of information and lists of what is good to for the winter sowing method. I will say things that aren't recommended are, those more tender type seedlings like your tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers. I think some people do try melons. I haven't tried any melons, but if you want to do them in this method, I wouldn't do it till, much later into the spring. And so tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, um, beans. Again, some people do them, some don't. Carrots, I just find carrots are way easier to plant into the ground than to try to plant them in here. So, it's up to you what you want to try. I've had years where, I just had a lot of different seeds and I've, tried a whole variety of things. If you have the jugs and you got the soil and you got some extra seeds, just give them a try and see if they work for you. As far as flowers, I have good success with those, you know, what do you call them? Annuals that I grow in zone 3 here that grow well. So I do like zinnias, marigolds. Marigolds are a good one. Cosmos. I plant a lot of flowers that are good pollinators and attract, all the pollinators and the bees and the butterflies to my garden. So I always try to get a good batch of different flowers that are good for your garden. And again, like I say, the herbs, the lettuces, the brassicas. So more of those cold tolerant type vegetables and flowers are good. I've tried strawberries, didn't have much luck with them. Um, Again, I'm in a growing zone 3, plus I'm in a very area that's very susceptible to frost. Um, just because of where I live, the location, we seem to get frost. If anybody's going to get frost, we get it for sure. And sometimes it gets a little bit, colder than most places. So you just have to kind of know your area and kind of understand what kind of frost patterns you have. But the good thing about these again is in the spring, and if you get these going, you'll be going out there and peeking inside and trying to see if there's anything coming, and you just leave them be. And at night when it gets cold, they're just like little greenhouses, so they will keep your seedlings warm and they will, keep growing. And you wait until, they've developed and you got to basically your jug is full of a plant. And what you do then is you just go and remove the duct tape so that you can open it up and let it start hardening off and adjusting to the climate. And at night, if it gets cold or if you got frost coming, you can, push the top back down. I've even had times where, I go over there and just throw a blanket over it just to protect it. But really, these are, like I say, little mini greenhouses, and they really, do a good job of protecting your seed and giving it a good climate to be starting in. So yeah, so I'll just do up another one here. If anybody has any questions, I'd like to hear what have you had success, the best success with winter sowing? What do you usually winter sow and what has worked well for you? Something else I just wanted to let everybody know that I've also started a gardening community on the school platform. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it is an awesome community platform that has just been in existence for about 5 years now. It started in 2019, and it's just like a place where people like me want to start communities or want to grow, a business and just have a place where everybody can come and interact together, ask questions and share knowledge. And I can share, more information and give you more value that you can access, resource documents. And I've got this community set up and I've got a link to it in my description box below. So if you are interested, I would love to have more people join my community. The more in the community, the more interactive active it will be. And, I just want to see it grow. I've got different modules in there for seed starting and for hydroponics and for the winter sowing. I've got a recipe box module so that, in the summertime when we're starting to harvest stuff from the garden and we're creating different things with all of our harvest and doing our canning in the fall and trying to figure out what to do with all that zucchini. I would love to, just build a really great recipe box in there. I've also got a whole gardening catalog of all the tools and equipment and things that I use and love and recommend that you can go through if you're looking for different things. So I really hope that I can get more people into that community. It's a really nice, safe space where, we can interact. You don't have to worry about ads and, spam and all that kind of stuff that can happen on social media platforms. And the school community, just some of the statistics on there is, I think, over 40,000 different communities already on the school platform. And there is like 50 million views a day. And there are, I don't know, 40,000 communities starting every month. So it's really growing and it's just an awesome, like, kind of platform that I think is really going to be, up and coming, and building a community is really something of the future that I think is really important with AI coming in, and so much stuff is AI that, one thing about a community, I don't think AI can replace that. You can't replace the empathy and the just the personal touch of a community and people interacting with each other. So I hope that you'll check it out. It's in the link below. And the school app is something just like a Facebook app or an Instagram app. It'll ask you to create your own app, I guess, just like if you were creating a Facebook page or a Facebook account. It'll just ask you for your email and then it'll take you right to my community where you can introduce yourself and just start chatting about gardening. So I hope that you will check that out. So what else? I'm just checking my chat here. It's hard to do this while I'm babbling away, but anyways, yeah. Don't know if I'm getting any more, but it's okay. So I'm just going to now do some kale. So I'm going to add a little more soil here. We'll get the kale going. Like I said, I think my next thing that I'm going to be starting is some more onions. I do them both methods just because I'm never sure if I'm going to have enough. In case I don't have success with my winter sowing, then I have a lot because I love to grow as many onions as I can. Anything that I can, easily harvest and store away for the winter, like onions, potatoes, carrots. Those are my kind of vegetables to grow and, be able to store over the winter. I'm not big into canning, not yet. Um, maybe maybe when I am fully retired from my job and I have more time, I'll get into the canning thing. But so I'm going to be doing onions, and if I don't know if people like watching me do it live, I kind of prefer doing it in front of the camera, and then I don't have to edit it. And when I'm filming myself doing stuff and trying to create a video, sometimes it just feels, a little bit more stiff when, it's just me doing it and showing you. And I'd rather just sit and talk and visit and talk about gardening while I'm doing this kind of stuff. So if you're enjoying these lives, just let me know in the chat. If you're watching the replay of this later, just let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see more lives like this, I'd be happy to come on every Wednesday kind of thing and just show you what I'm doing here in my basement and hopefully soon in my garage. So, so yeah, so I'm going to be doing, I'm not going to do it all for you tonight, but I'm going to be doing some kale. I've got my two favorite kinds of onions. These are the Walla Walla and a red. It's called the Ruby Ring red onion. So I'm not sure if you know, but there are three types of onions that you can grow. We have long day onions, short day onions, and then intermediate day onions. So based on where you live in North America, I guess, if you have long days like we do here up in Saskatchewan and in the north, we get, up to 14 to 16 hours of daylight in the spring and through the early part of summer. So there are onions that prefer the long hours, and they need that to be able to bulb properly. And if you're down further south in the North America where there is shorter days, around that, I don't know what they are for you guys there, but maybe 8 to 10 hours or 10 to 12 hour days. There's the short day onions that prefer, shorter periods of daylight to grow. And then there's an intermediate where it's kind of just in the middle there. So up here in the northern zones, 3, 4, you want to go with the long day type onions, and Walla Wallas are good ones. So just always check that out when you're looking for your seeds or if you're seed shopping online. Most of those seed companies are pretty good to explain that or make sure they tell you that it's, what kind of a onion your seed you're planting. So I'm a big onion fan from seed as opposed to buying those the bulbs that you plant in the ground. I find that those never get very big for me. And I find that, planting from seed and starting them that way, if you have the room and you got the lights and can do that, that you end up with, a better crop of onions. So that's just my opinion, but it's worked good for me. Um, so yeah, like even if you don't have a lot of space or don't want to buy the grow lights, in another month or so, if you have a good sunny window somewhere in your house, you can start a lot of your indoors just using sunlight from, the sun. If you have a good south-facing window or east south-facing window works best. Um, but grow lights, you don't have to really invest a lot of money in them. I have so many here. These ones here are just LED lights that I bought from Lowe's or Rona or Home Depot. They're not grow lights, that are pink, blue tones. These are just LED lights. You can call them shop lights, I guess. And I just have them strung across underneath these shelves here. And I have another two down here. And so that's just an easy way to set up your seed starting right there for, not very much. These lights will last for years and years. They're LED. They don't use a lot of power or energy. So they're energy efficient. They're not hot. And they will, give you great success with your seedlings. So I have grow lights everywhere, as you can see. I get a lot of them sent to me from companies wanting me to test them out. So some of them are kind of funny looking, like that one there, but So I might try it out on my seedlings this year and see how that turns out. So, so yes, I will do some more videos probably when I'm doing my, what am I growing here? I better keep track of what I'm doing. Okay, this is a kale. Yeah, if people are enjoying these types of videos, maybe next week I will do some onions, show you how I start them. I don't even buy special trays to grow my onions in. I actually use um, aluminum containers. I just thought if I had one here, I could show you. Just those loaf pans that you would, buy, the aluminum ones, the disposal ones that you would, you know, put a loaf of bread in or whatever. Those work great for growing, a good batch of onions. Onions, you can grow them, in small space. They don't need a lot of space. You can grow lots of them in a small container and, just pull them apart when you go to plant them. So maybe next week I'll be showing you how to do that, and we'll just keep rolling here for the 2025 season. So I just sprinkled a bunch of red Russian kale in here now. So I am just going to cover it up with some soil, just a light layer, don't need too much. I will show you again how to tape these. Just looking at the camera and make sure you can see. And then again, just start at one end here where you're started your cut. Don't try to hold the jug or do anything. Just start wrapping it around, covering up that cut line, and then just go around and seal it up like that. And there you go. Another one is planted up. And this is kale. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I was going to say for the winter sowing, like I'm doing it a little bit early right now, just because I wanted to get a video out before people um, are into it too much and or so they don't miss out. But I would say in growing zone 3, 4, like where we live here in uh, Canada, I guess across the prairies, and south into the States a little bit. Starting, end of February is plenty soon enough. As long as the nights are, still freezing and your jug does freeze solid for a period of time so that those seeds go through that natural stratification process where they freeze. And then as the nights and days, the nights or the days warm up and it freezes at night, they kind of go through a freeze and thaw um, process, and that's kind of what you want them to do. So I would say end of February into March. Um, just look at when your last frost date is for here in growing zone 3. May long weekend is kind of the what I call my last frost date, and I always just count back how many weeks. So I think right now we're still at about 14 weeks. Can't remember, I wrote it somewhere. But so, when I get to that 10 to 12 week, that's when I'll do onions, petunias. When we get to 8 to 10 weeks, usually that's when I start my peppers because they're a little bit slower. And then 6 to 8 weeks, I usually am doing my tomatoes. And tomatoes are my favorite thing to grow. I always try, you know, a lot of different varieties. There's just so many. When you start them from seed yourself, you can go to a seed catalog and go online, and there's just so many cool varieties out there. And if anybody has any great tomato favorites, this is where my community, I would love people to come and just start talking about what their favorite things are to grow, and what's your favorite pepper. And I really need help with cucumbers because for some reason have bad luck with growing cucumbers outdoors. I don't know why. And so that's why my community would be a great place for people to come and, chat about gardening and share. And I was even thinking about, a seed swapping type thing would be great. It doesn't cost much to throw some seeds into an envelope and send them to somebody else. I've been in seed swapping groups across Canada and into the States in the past, and they're awesome. So, anyways, again, another plug for my community. I hope that you will join in and uh, just download that app onto your phone, and then you can just tap into it anytime you want to go in to ask questions and see what else is going on in the community, and just and hopefully we can grow. And I will keep making videos, but sometimes that's why I like doing the lives, because feel like I have somebody to talk to while I'm doing stuff. And sometimes it gets a little lonely making videos and just kind of wondering what's going on out there and what people are doing. So I think, where are we at? 45 minutes. I think I did well. And it's awesome. I see like I have 11 people. I really hope that all of you have said hi. I'm sorry if I missed you in the chat. Um, I know that this weekend they said it's going to get really cold again at night, to that minus 30 degrees Celsius here in Saskatchewan, and getting more snow. So again, when you're setting up your jugs, just make sure you put them somewhere where they're safe and they don't get too buried. I've done mine in snow drifts that ended up burying them. So you just kind of want to, have a walk around your yard and pick a good location to keep them safe for now. And then when it starts to thaw and get to that spring mode, that's when you want to make sure they're in a place where they're getting lots of sunshine, and any rain or snow that comes in will naturally come through the top and give them a good watering. And hopefully you end up with some amazing, strong seedlings that you will be able to plant out into your garden. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you haven't done so, I hope that you will try winter sowing. It's fun. It's fairly easy, fairly cheap. I noticed I went to my favorite gardener's garden center here in Saskatoon, which is Early's Farm and Garden. They also have an online catalog. So if you were in Western Canada, they have an awesome seed selection, and they're getting everything stocked up here now. So I'll be going through the catalogs and looking for some more tomato seeds to try, pepper seeds, and whatever else. Sometimes every year it's something new that you want to try out, and just give it a try. The worst thing that can happen is it doesn't grow. And try it again next year. It's no big deal. So there is there's no right or wrong in gardening. It's all about just having fun and trying new things and just experimenting. So I will also try to get into uh different sizes of gardens too. People that don't have the space, how do you garden with a small space? I love container gardening, even though I have a lot of space here on the farm. We have terrible soil. We have terrible well water. So I've had to, do different methods, do some container gardening, and try to collect rainwater for all my watering system and stuff like that. So anyways, I can just keep babbling on here. So I'm going to let everybody go. I really appreciate you joining me here tonight. Once again, click down on my link below and join me in my gardening community. It's called Gardeners Growing Together. And like I say, you don't have to be a professional gardener or a gardener at all. If you're just thinking about it, join in. And if you got anything you want to share, just throw it in the chat and let's talk about gardening. So thanks again for coming out, and thanks for talking to me in the chat. I really appreciate it. And hopefully maybe we'll see you next week when I'm gonna do some onions. So have a good evening, everybody.